There's a unique allure to a cabin deep in the wilderness. Imagine stepping away from crowded cities, cell phones, and schedules into a world of towering pines, babbling streams, and the quiet symphony of nature. The idea of a secluded cabin is irresistible, a place to breathe, reflect, and reconnect with the natural world. For some, it's the ultimate escape, an embrace of simplicity and peace. Yet the very isolation that draws people in can also create an unsettling vulnerability. Many who seek solitude describe the first few nights as magical. The crackle of a wood fire, the glow of a lantern, and the canopy of stars overhead create a feeling of safety and serenity. But as hours stretch into nights, subtle changes can creep in: rustling leaves, shadows that linger too long, or the strange sensation that the trees themselves are watching. Some cabin dwellers report feeling as though they are not entirely alone, even when every human trace is miles away. That creeping suspicion often escalates into outright terror when inexplicable events begin to occur. The wilderness doesn't operate on human schedules. Its rhythms are alien, unpredictable, and sometimes deeply disconcerting. A sound that seems ordinary, like a branch breaking, can carry a different weight when it echoes through the stillness of a remote forest. It can become a trigger for the imagination, turning everyday sounds into something more sinister. Many survivors emphasize that the first real signal of danger is psychological. The realization that isolation amplifies every uncertainty. You begin to question the ordinary. Was that scratching outside just an animal or something else? And when the unknown finally asserts itself, it is not subtle. The true horror of isolation is not just being alone, it's being vulnerable. And knowing that something unseen and unknowable could be observing every move you make. The stories that follow demonstrate how the cabin, meant as a sanctuary, can transform into a stage for encounters that defy reason. The first accounts of unexplained encounters often begin with subtle disturbances. One couple in Oregon reported rhythmic scratches along the cabin walls at night, scratches that didn't match the patterns of any known wildlife. They were deliberate, almost communicative. At first, they dismissed it as the building settling, or perhaps a raccoon attempting mischief. But when the noises persisted night after night, always in sync with their own movements inside the cabin, fear took root. Every night became a test of courage. Another instance involves a man in the deep forests of New Hampshire who heard disembodied whispers echoing through the pines. They weren't loud, but clear enough to suggest intention. Words he couldn't understand, tones that sounded urgent, almost conversational. Despite rigorous investigation, no source could be identified. These experiences highlight the primal terror of the unseen. Not a visible threat, but a presence that seems intelligent, patient, and aware. Psychologically, the impact of such encounters is profound. Humans are wired to respond to threats, but the mind struggles when the threat has no form. The absence of evidence paradoxically amplifies fear. Cabin dwellers recount sleepless nights, hyper-awareness of every noise, and the uncanny feeling of being observed. These stories serve as a stark reminder that the wilderness has its own consciousness, one that doesn't always conform to our understanding of life or nature. Some encounters escalate beyond whispers and scratches. Imagine a fleeting shadow at the window, indistinct yet undeniably there, watching you with intent. One remote resident in Montana recounted exactly this: a shadow that didn't match the form of any animal he recognized. It appeared and vanished in seconds, leaving only an impression of its presence and a racing pulse in the human heart. Another chilling account involves persistent knocking on a cabin door. The pattern was almost intelligent, deliberate, and unnerving. The resident initially dismissed it as the wind or wildlife, but repeated occurrences always when alone forced a confrontation with the unknown. He describes the sensation as being studied by something that understands your routines, your weaknesses, and your isolation. The fear isn't just of the event, it's the realization that the wilderness can observe, assess, and interact with humans in ways that are incomprehensible. The primal fear here is simple but deep: being watched. Humans are accustomed to social surveillance from other humans, but being watched by an intelligence beyond comprehension, whether animal, supernatural, or otherwise, elicits an instinctive terror. These encounters teach us that in the heart of the wilderness, the observer may not always be visible, but their attention is relentless. Unexplained activity often escalates. One resident returned to find objects inside their cabin moved. Books shifted, tools displaced, items that could not have been moved by wind or animals. Another recounted hearing an unearthly howl that defied classification, echoing from the deep forests with such volume and resonance that it seemed to surround the cabin. These experiences mark a terrifying threshold. The unknown moves from distant whispers into tangible interactions. The escalation forces a choice: flee, adapt, or accept the unexplainable. Cabin dwellers who survive these encounters often implement rigorous safety routines, relying on both modern technology and sheer vigilance. Yet the knowledge of something outside that observes, manipulates, or communicates beyond comprehension remains. Fear becomes a constant companion, and isolation transforms from peaceful solitude into a tension-filled existence, where every creak, scratch, or shadow demands attention. What's remarkable is the human response: ingenuity, endurance, and courage emerge in even the most unnerving conditions. Those who survive learn to coexist with the unknown, respecting the boundaries of the wilderness while protecting their own fragile sanctuary. But the lingering uncertainty, the what if, never fully dissipates. Isolation exposes humans to experiences that challenge perception and reason. These true accounts highlight the fragility of understanding when faced with phenomena that defy explanation. The threads are consistent: isolation, vulnerability, and the unnerving presence of something intelligent yet unseen. Cabin dwellers who encounter these phenomena report permanent changes in their perception of solitude, nature, and personal security. Consider the open-ended question: if the forest could watch you, communicate with subtle signals, or manipulate your environment, how would you respond? Could you maintain rationality, or would primal fear dominate? These stories are a reminder that wilderness, while beautiful, is alive with forces humans may never fully comprehend. We want to hear from you. Have you experienced unexplained encounters in isolated locations? Do you have theories about the whispers, shadows, and mysterious movements that haunt the woods? Share your experiences and thoughts in the comments, and join a community that confronts fear head-on. Subscribe to True Terror Files Official for more chilling real-life accounts of survival, unexplained phenomena, and the terrifying unknown lurking beyond civilization. Your next encounter with fear could be just a click away.